Fighting for truth is the story of exploitation. 9 times out of 10, human beings can't understand the world in terms of the literal truth. So we create images, signs, with which to simplify and categorize it. We give images significance and meaning, social constructs, arbitrary divisions between natural phenomena, and so on. Because images have significance and meaning, people become drawn to and reflective of those images. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, no matter the extent. That's just how humans work. What is shameful is how capitalism uses this phenomena to exploit people. There's nothing wrong with some nerds jokingly worshipping or marrying their favorite anime characters. There is something wrong with the way capitalism uses our love for these images and exploits it for its own value. Hi, my name is Justin Nam, and this is my final presentation for Communication Design 2 with Guillaume Wolff. My zine project is based on Guy Debord and the French Revolutionary movement called the Situationist International. The SI was well known for their critique of the crony capitalism, unmasking the reality behind what's being sold to us using a mixture of both Marxism and surrealism. Guy Debord was the founding member of the SI and had a great interest in commodity fetishism and the spectacle. A lot of the information that I came across were things I feel like everyone else needs to be aware of, and I was surprised to know that I never came across anything related to the SI, because they have a big presence on the internet. Researching for this project made me feel very sad about the world we live in, and the constant discovery of these types of information felt like slowly descending into a deep pool, without knowing how to stay afloat or knowing what's under the water. During the early stages of my zine project, I was noticeably overwhelmed, and I wasn't sure what mixture of articles would provide the best experience for the readers, or where to shine the spotlight. This is the zine that I've created for my project, and it consists of 5 articles. The first 2 of the 5 articles are about Guy Debord and corruption, and the remaining 3 are about street gang culture, which is my contrasting idea, where I wanted to express my personal disheartening emotions for the subject. There were so many directions available for me to take for the topic of Guy Debord and the SI, and it was challenging to choose which topic I wanted to further expand on. After a few considerations, I chose to dig deeper into Guy Debord's death. This decision was made during my personal time thinking about whether or not he predicted his own death. Guy Debord died of a disease caused by his hopeless addiction to alcohol, and him being someone who has a deep understanding of cause and effect, it made me wonder if he knew his death was coming, but kept drinking anyway to end the misery of life. As for my contrasting idea, I chose articles that could give an insight to the violence gang members face every day. And although you could say that they put themselves in that position, it is an undeniable fact that some people make the decision to live by the street, not because of their will, but because of their surroundings. I aim to communicate that this zine wasn't going to make you feel comfortable or happy, because the articles of my choice dealt with subjects regarding death and corruption. I decided to use black graph paper and dark red designs throughout the zine to reflect the atmosphere of the articles. This is a video I took for my contrasting idea, and originally I wanted to show something more hectic with the police involved. So I attempted to take videos of live crime scenes such as cars being pulled over. Obviously, that idea was too extreme as it required for me to literally drive around town looking for trouble, and I ended up settling down on going to an illegal car meet, where young guys with too much hormones spend too much money on cars that make too much noise. The precise recipe for police to show up. When I pulled up to the scene, there were cars blocking the road where the show was going to happen, and they call these guys blockers. They block traffic so that the show isn't disrupted and act stupid when the police show up to buy time for the ones who are doing the show, aka donuts. As I predicted, the police showed up in less than 10 minutes of me being there, and I was able to get a few decent clips of people running away and provoking the police. I added a soundtrack with a calm atmosphere to further highlight the hectic situation being presented. These are my 2 kinetic posters, and they both share a similar choice of colors such as dark red and black that are visually connected to my zine. The process of making these kinetic posters was tedious and required attention to detail because the smallest mistake can be seen over and over as it loops. But that didn't stop me from enjoying making these. In fact, that was the reason why I had the most fun making these. I felt a blissful satisfaction when I was watching the end result perfectly loop over and over. The sentence with the thin typeface in my first kinetic poster reads that Guy Debord killed himself, or that Guy Debord killed himself. And the second kinetic poster has the title of my zine rotating around Guy Debord's distorted face. My personal favorite is the poster that reads that Guy Debord killed himself because it's visually more satisfying to look at. Finally, I will be showing you the two AR filters that I created for both my main subject and my contrasting idea. At first glance, this was the most overwhelming part of the project, and I was well aware of AR filters through people using them to look good on Instagram posts. And the thought of making something that I was only used to seeing online was quite scary. But just like everything else, spending time and being comfortable with the software used to make the AR filter provided me room for creativity. For the face filter about Guy Debord, I made a square cutout of the eye on the original face mesh provided by the AR filter program and placed Guy Debord's eyes under it, with the word facts spilling out of the mouth when you open your mouth. This was to show the concept of having Guy Debord's vision and spitting facts from the observation being made through his vision. There is also a mouth closer that people use to sleep with their mouths closed because our society usually feels uncomfortable with people who share brutal facts. The second AR filter is about my contrasting idea, and the concept behind it is to show remorse from wasting a big part of one's life because of gang culture. I concluded on this idea because gang members who are active on the street miss out on most important days that people celebrate. Towards the end of this project, I was exhausted but relieved to know it was all over. I would have to say that this zine project was the most intense project that I came across during my stay at Art Center, and at the same time it made me hopeful for my future terms because it let me know there will be projects I could be passionate about. I was more than relieved to find out there were large movements exposing the corruption that was rotting the foundation of a good capitalist society. I was also happy to learn the importance of understanding where the future is heading with careful observation and sharing those conclusions to help people around us make small changes that can possibly change the big picture. As for Guy Debord, I concluded that maybe him dying was the better result, because if he was still alive and went to Times Square, where 70% of your vision is occupied by LED advertisements that are also hung on beautiful architecture our past generations have left behind, he would be very disappointed that the world is going exactly the way that he warned not to. And yeah, that was my final presentation for Communication Design 2 with Guillaume Wolf. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.